way. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, a Chihuahua.
Chihuahua Sheba.
No way.
Yep.
How old?
11. I've had him since he was 1. He's a singer
Oh,
now. I got a cat around her too, and she's
no.
6 or 7.
And they get along.
Yeah, most of the time.
Hi, Sheba.
Sometimes she's a little catty.
That's adorable. Adorable. Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah,
thank
he's
you,
older.
Zorba. Oh, look at. Hi, honey.
He's older in the face.
Oh,
He likes to sit down a lot, lay down a lot. I used to take him everywhere on my shoulders. A lot of people know me for that.
how cool is that?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
he can sit up on my shoulders. Like when we go somewhere, that's how I got him from the SPCA. I was looking for a medium-sized dog, and he don't want to do it now, but he usually sits up on my shoulders.
Oh, how cool. I love animals.
Me
Well,
too.
I'm going to go into your intro, Zorba, and then we'll go through your life here.
Cool. My intro's probably longer than the interview.
Zorba Jevon Hughes is from Louisville, Kentucky, and he's been doing stand-up comedy since 1989 when he was 15 years old. Did you hear what I said? He was too young to be in the clubs, but he was getting in the clubs to perform. We're going to get into that. What?
Exactly. Actually, the clubs wouldn't let me in. They was worried about their liquor license, but bars would let me perform. Go figure.
Oh, man. This comedian is the Sergio Valente of stand-up comedy. If you don't know what Sergio Valente is, look it up. He's smoother than lotion on the skin, more charm than a bracelet, and the Dapper Don Juan, your mama boyfriend when your daddy ain't at home. Zorba Jevon Hughes, spoken like an old white lady. Hi, Zorba.
Hey there.
Welcome to Comic Spot Little interview time. How are you doing today? You're in LA?
Pretty good. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I live it alone. I don't have a cat or a dog.
Yeah, I spent mine here. I don't. All my family's back east. Most of them are gone, passed away anyway. So.
Sorry. Where's home?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I just read that. Louisville.
Louisville. I say it that way because I went to college. But
what college did you go to?
University of Louisville.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. What's their mascot?
The mascot's the Louisville Cardinals.
Okay.
But Kentucky, as the University of Kentucky, is the Wildcats. And then there's Eastern Kentucky. We're known as a basketball state.
Nice. Basketball like NCAA?
Yeah. A lot of famous people out of my hometown.
What's that?
A lot of famous people from my hometown for talents.
Like who?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh.
Hunter S. Thompson. Diane Sawyer, the first Sue Grafton. The abolitionist Marcellus Clay, who Muhammad Ali was named after, he's related to Muhammad Ali. It's a long story. A lot of from the state is Johnny Depp. He's from Lexington. George Clooney's from a little small town. Him and his aunt Rosemary. The lead singer from the what's that song they had? Not the Spice Girls, but they had that song about how don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? The lead singer, she's from there. We got a few.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, let's go through your life.
Okay.
Little Zorba, what were you like growing up as a little kid at home and in school?
I was only child, so I spent a lot of time My mom didn't like me being a latchkey kid, so they would make me go with them. Spend a lot of time with my mom and her friends, and then my aunt, I had two aunts that are 8 and 12 years older than me, so she would make me go with them. And basically, it was just basically, I was an only child who got into comedy at an early age because I didn't have, I got friends, but when you in Kentucky at the time when I was growing up there, we were only the third Black family on our block. I was representing all minorities. It was just Black and white in Kentucky. It's more than that now, but it's where it wasn't. It was just Black and white. And I fell in love with comedy because one day I just saw my mom had Red Fox's album, Bill Cosby's album, and Jimmy Walker for some reason. And I wasn't into Jimmy and I wasn't into Bill, even then before it was Trials and Tribulations. But Red Fox caught me. And then I started studying.
Time out.
Go ahead.
Red Fox was the first comedy album I ever played. The Red album.
That was, my mom had the best of Red Fox. And what caught me, he's in Vegas, and I hear the crinkling of the glasses. And ladies and gentlemen, the international star of stage and television, Mr. Red Fox. And I'm sitting, because I had to play it when she was at work. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening, like, what's he doing? And I remember one of the jokes he said, women are like postage stamps. You got to lick them before you stick them. So I remember that joke. And then, yeah. But by today's standards, Red was not dirty. They keep putting him in this dirty category. I've seen, and it's funny. I hate the term of labels of the way they label comics, clean or dirty. Because you know who Chandra Pierce is?
Yes.
Now, she's the cleanest comic in the world. Religious, Christian, but she hadn't seen her grandson ever, and she don't get along with her daughter. I mean, I've seen interviews and she talked about this. It may have changed since then. Meanwhile, Dice Clay is considered the filthiest comic. He took time out and he raised his sons.
Wow.
He got 2 productive citizens. I'm not going to, I can't really speculate on Chandra, so I shouldn't really say much, but you get what I'm saying, that the irony of the label. Clean.
The labels don't mean anything. It's what you are off stage.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So you started comedy at 15. Who got you on stage? What club? How did it go your very first time?
The first time I ever did it at 15, I was at a coffee shop and I was doing bad. I had something in my side. I had the knack. In other words, I know how to put jokes together quick. Now I kept watching since I'm a little kid, Rodney Dangerfield and them. I loved Robin Williams and I loved Richard Pryor and I loved Jonathan Winters, but I knew I couldn't do what they do. Not saying I couldn't if I'd have put time in it, but I saw Rodney and I was like, he just grabs the mic and spits jokes that he wrote. I could do that. Boom. And I just started developing that knack for writing jokes. And I would be like, boom, 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 boom. And the first time at coffee shops, it was but when first time I hit a comedy club stage, a week after I turned 21, and I guess in 1992 or 3, I killed and didn't understand why I killed. And everybody's like, yo, who is this kid? Killed. Because I'd had all the time to prepare. And I'm hitting them with the jokes, and they were just like, yo, who is he? And the next time I went up, I bombed, but then I went back up and killed because I tried something different that it wasn't ready. And I just took what I had and went back up with the first time. I was like, oh, I get it. Boom, and hit them and set it in a way and just got them.
That's fabulous.
And I read every book on comedy writing there is to read. Books you don't even know about, like this one here, Off the Mic by Deborah Francis White and Marsha Shandur. It's a British book about comics and what they go through to write their material and stuff.
Wow. I don't know if you know the singer-actress Melissa Manchester.
Uh-huh.
Well, I just got to interview her for the American Forces Network the other day. But the reason I'm talking about it isn't to brag, it's to brag about her. Everything she said about writing music applies to writing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
She gets all of her stuff, all her authentic material from actual conversations with people.
Exactly.
And everything that she puts in her jokes doesn't come from here. It comes from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And she feels that when you're connected to your heart, that's where the best stuff comes from. Not when you're like, I
In
need
your head, yeah.
to make everything funny, or this could be funny. But if you're just trying to relay something about love, how you love people, or like, it was just so interesting what she had to say that applied to comedy as well.
Yeah, I write songs too. My uncle was a songwriter, and he took and showed he passed on to me what he used to do. He used to tour with like George Clinton and them. He had a keyboard in every room of his house, bathroom. He kept one on the side of his bed. He would get up in the middle of the night and write.
Oh, that's
And
so
some of his
cool.
stuff made it. It's in commercials. And some of he was in one of. He wasn't in it, but his song was on the soundtrack of a what's that? Bridget Jones' Diary. It wasn't on Bridget Jones' Diary, but the actress in it. Uh, it was another movie she did in Florida that it was on. And
Wow.
I just heard Joni Mitchell, just the interview from her before we got online about her songwriting and her techniques. And I learned from everybody.
That is
Like
really cool. That puts you a cut above when you're
like
willing to.
Dolly Parton. Yeah, like Dolly Parton. She's written over 200 albums. And she just got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She didn't want to take it because she was just like, I don't deserve, I didn't, you, regardless of what they call, excuse me, regardless of what they call it, she was there. I mean, she dropped albums. Respect due.
Absolutely. I respect her. I respect her hustle and her humility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I had those bazongas, I don't know. I might be a hooker.
That's what she said. That's what she said. The reason she dresses like that, because when she was little, the town hooker, what she thought was so pretty, she just took the town hooker style. But just because you have big boobs don't mean you have to be a hooker. I mean,
No.
means you're going to get a lot of attention, but
Yeah, that's right. So your first times in comedy, when was the first time you went into a comedy club, a straight up club?
Well, the first club opened in my hometown was the Comedy Caravan. It opened in '87. I went in '89 when I was about 15, about 15, 16. They let me in to watch. And then when I turned 21, they would let me in and perform. But when I had turned 21, when I could go in without worrying about, because they were so worried about losing their liquor license. And meanwhile, you got youngsters driving tractors at 14. Um, then I killed. They was like, wow. But the problem was by then I was like they had already seen me so much. So, you when you're in your own hometown, they give you stuff, but they like, you just home. So I moved away in 1998 because I wasn't feeling like I was moving up.
Yes, in 98, where did you move to?
I moved to California. I moved to Los Angeles. I had worked at the VA hospitals, and I landed with a couple of grand and a suitcase in Los Angeles. I knew one person, and I went to, she knew I was coming, dropped my stuff off over there, went straight to the comedy store to see how things were going. And the first day I went to the comedy store, I seen a guy get knocked out in the parking lot for stealing another guy's joke. I was like, okay, I like this.
Well, okay, so I'm a military veteran. I was in the
Wow.
Army in 73. So what did you do at the VA hospital back in Kentucky?
My mom been there forever. She worked there. I worked in the kitchen cleaning, clean, because she's been taking me there since I was a little kid, volunteering and stuff. So I worked in the kitchen cleaning dishes and all that. And then I started helping the disabled vets when they would come in. I'd help them to their tables, like the blind vet, the guy in the wheelchair, this, that, and the other. And I was only there like a year, and I got like employee of the month. My mom was like, I've been here over 20 something years. I didn't get that. You came in 6 months and got that.
Oh my
You know,
gosh, it's almost like a
I wasn't trying to get
participation.
it. All I was doing is just helping people.
It's
You
kind of
know?
like a participation trophy,
Yeah,
but you earned it.
yeah.
So, okay, so let's go on from the working at the VA and the Comedy Store. So how did it go when you first checked out the Comedy Store and went up on stage?
It was very, very interesting. I'm sorry, my hand's over the thing. It was very interesting because I'd been collecting, you know, they talk about the law of attraction. I'd been collecting the tapes of these comics I'd never heard of. Eddie Griffin was just getting big in 92, 93. Paul Mooney, Dice Clay was when I was in high school, leaving high school. And then I come out to the Comedy Store and I see these people in face to face. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting to meet these people and getting to see them. And like when I came out there, it felt like Ellis Island for me, because some of the comics that are famous today, we all came at that time. There was Ari Shafir, there was Sam Tripoli, a guy named Mark Hatchell, Brett Ernst. All these comics, the ones that came later were a few months after, well, about the same time. Sebastian Maniscalco, John Caparillo, all these comics I met, they were just Bobby Lee, all these comics. I wasn't like, they were inside working at the door, getting on stage, and I was just trying to get in to do the open mic party because they had us waiting on the patio. Now the patio was all the crazy. Every state has them. There's always some nutty comics that ain't really there for nut. They got, you know what I mean? They're a little special. I ain't gonna say, I can't use the R word anymore, so I'm gonna say they were on a spectrum. That's what we would say today. They were on a spectrum. So, and watch, I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But these were unique individuals, you know, people that call themselves stuff like Pop-Tart and Candy Yams. They go up and do their little comedy act. I do something weird, and I'm up here trying to get in. I had a set, and it was just like, damn, what can I do to get in? Because that was my goal and intention. I kept hearing so much about the Comedy Store because I left for California. I chose California because half of the reason I chose California is because she's gone, but Jackie Collins. And what I mean by my mom, the writer, Jackie Collins, she had her books and I would read them. And she was talking about California, and I would see it. When you're in Kentucky and you see about California, and there's beach and the sun and the bikini women, who wouldn't want to come here? I didn't know about the rest of it. So I come here because of Jackie. I'm reading her books and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to head to the fancy parties. I'm going to hang out with stars. You know, I'm from Kentucky. I'm naive. My friend who was out here, he was doing movies already, but they were like, he was an extra. He didn't tell me that. He's like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I didn't know about it. I just thought, shit, I went to school for theater. If he can make it, I know I can make it. You know, little did I know.
So who are some of the people in your early comedy life who have helped your career?
Brett Ernst, Sam Tripoli, comics. I mean, you got to do it your own. But yeah, people can give you a spot here, give you a spot there, but you got to earn. You have to prove you're funny. I mean, I know all kind of comics that help. We help each other out now. A friend of mine named Doc, Doc Willis. That's his name. He's look for him. He's a little black guy, but he got his own show. You'll see him out there. I used to roll with a guy. I don't think he do stand up anymore. Maurice King, Davey Wester. Me and Davey were roommates. Davey's an interesting person. He has mild cerebral palsy, and we would be walking down the street sometime, and sometime he would fall and catch us. And it threw me the first time he did it because he got mad at me for catching when he went to fall. He's like, "No, I got to do it." I was like, "Okay." I'm still gonna, I don't know. I ain't used to people falling and catching themselves. I'm thinking he's doing a pratfall. I don't know. These weird comics. I don't need John Ritter right now. I need you to,
No Dick Van Dyke, no John Ritter.
No Dick Van Dyke. That scares me. I keep my comedy within the limits of not hurting myself. I never did understand the Three Stooges. You're not gonna poke me in the eye. And I was always a Groucho Marx type. If I go back that far, you know, I would never smoke a cigar, but the slickness with the intelligence on top of that. With Woody Allen, he was one that inspired me. When it comes to writing, Woody Allen and Paul Mooney, who I studied a lot, and Stephen Wright, every one-liner comic practically, Rita Rudner, uh, um, Mitch Hedberg, anyone who told a one-liner that was clever.
What about Wendy Liebman?
Yes, I was going to mention her too. I know we're friends online. I love Wendy's stuff.
Me too.
She always comments when I leave a good joke. Because you know how we do. It's a habit when you write one-liners to just keep coming up. Keep some for yourself, but put out what you want to put out. Because when you put them out to the universe, it's practically gone.
Yes, absolutely. Very smart advice. So tell people who are going to watch this. A lot of my people watch it after we're done taping. Tell people where all your comedy career has taken you and who you've been on stage with. Drop some names.
Okay. Well, I've been on stage with Margaret Cho. I've been on stage with Earthquake. I performed on stage with Eddie Griffin. I mean, but when I say perform, they were already going to perform. I had to get mine by just getting on, just at the last minute. Let me see. It's so different. Like most of mine, they were just up and coming. Like I said, Caparillo, but now they're famous. But it was different. Mine mostly were at the Comedy Store. Rest in peace, by the way, at the Improv to Bud Friedman. He just passed away.
Absolutely.
He used to be so nice. He would give me spots, even though I wasn't a regular. He was like, "Hey, kid, go on." He was nice.
Nice.
Jamie Masada's club would be nice to me at the Laugh Factory. He made me an unpaid regular, whatever that means. And I would do shows there. Tiffany Haddish, Chris Rock's brother, Tony Rock. And I remember one night I had a good list I was on. It was this Irish pub called O'Neill's, but it wasn't owned by Shaq. It was a black guy named O'Neill who owned the pub, and everybody from the most famous comics to just starting out would just sit there. It was like our hangout. And I got on by the person who booked it. How I got on, I beat him in a game of Madden football. That's how I got on. It was back when Madden football was the rage. And I got on, and he said, if you don't do good, don't ask for 6 months to get back on. Now, I went on number one. Then it was Bobby Lee. Who else went on? Chris Rock came in. It was Ralphie May. Dan Cook was the headliner, and Alonzo Bowden before Dan Cook. And yeah, that was I never forget. And I had a great set because, I didn't want to bomb in front of none of them. I'm the one that's not known. So, I did real good. And as your ego, you're a comic, you just killed in a room full of packed house, and they looking at you, and you're like, yeah. You come off stage, all of a sudden, women notice me. I'm just a well-dressed guy ordinarily walking through. All of a sudden, you were funny. I was. She wouldn't talk to me. And I promise you, you're like, oh, wow, she's fine. And I'm not, and not putting yourself down, but you're like, I ain't nobody. Who she? Okay.
Funny is so sexy to a woman.
I know. It's just so weird. I've had women of all ages like it. And this is the main reason they see this hair on my chin and lose their mind. I don't know what it is.
I think I know what it is, but I'm not going there.
I'm older now, so that's what it's. I just turned 50 in March. Now all of a sudden, it's like I've come into maturity to women, especially older women. They're like, hey, because most people, I think with athletes, they look at me like I'm a kid. But now older women are just like, hey, hey.
So what is it that, when you're writing, I want to get into your joke writing.
Okay.
So you've read every single book.
Yeah, well, I haven't read I read a lot. But yeah, you want to know how I get into my techniques?
Talk to me about what inspires you to write a joke and how do you write it? Do you start with the premise? Do you start with a punchline that comes to mind? Do you
Well, it's a
start
little
with
bit
your
of both. Sometimes the punchline hits me. I'll see a word. I'll give you an example. I wrote you know, the phrase like touch and go.
yeah.
I had that in my head one time, and then I passed a massage parlor, and I said, "Oh, I'll make this." I went through a drive-through massage. I was talking about how I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make drive-through massage parlors. Call them touch and go. Boom, stuff like that. Little snippets that'll get you. My mind sees words sometimes and goes there. Sometimes I have the setup. Sometimes, and I'm expanding on that so I don't just be one-liners. But I put a bunch of things together, ideas. I'm gonna say the fancy word. I'm gonna say it for the nerds too. I juxtapose two incongruent ideas. I formulate them until this one complete sentence.
Love
Set up,
that.
punch. That's for the nerds. But for everybody else, I see I see words and go, oh, that's funny. I write it down. I keep notebooks like crazy full. You know, I keep a little notebook with me at all times, and I'm always writing. I sleep with a notebook on the side, and I'm always writing jokes, and I'm always reading. I read a lot, different books. It could be from I got the bio of Nancy Pelosi. I'm going to read that. I got Fat Joe's bio. I got books of every, you know, I read a lot to give me ideas, concepts, and I go from
Love
there.
that. What is in your career? What is something weird, hard, stupid, or scary that you've witnessed in a club, a bar, at the airport, anywhere in your career?
So many.
Tell me a few.
I'll give you one. This comedian, she still works. I learned respect the business, do your job from her, but make sure you handle your business. And that was Monique Marvez. Monique still is back in my hometown at the Hometown Club, Comedy Caravan. She's headlining. She's selling out the place, getting more and more crowd. And she went to talk to, I hope she don't mind me telling this, but she was talking to the owner about getting her money right, getting better money, because she's playing, you know, she's packing them in. And she was mad. She was pissed off, but she didn't let them down. She went out there, she killed the room, came back, left right back where the sentence where she was. Now let's talk about my money. You know, and didn't miss it. I had to respect that. A lot of things, respect the art. A lot of comics don't. They just play around with it. When you're doing a show, I don't care what position you are on the show, headliner, feature, opener, even if you get a guest spot, look over your notes. Go over them in your head, however you tend to do it. Go over it. Don't play around. I've seen comics think, oh, I could just go up and wing it. I've seen comics look stupid that way. Go over it. Take your notes to the side. Get away from everyone else. Get your head together. If you got to say your prayer, do your little baseball ritual. Go take a crap if that's what helps you, because it's an energy, whatever helps you. Don't do drugs. Don't smoke. Don't drink. Go out at after, which you shouldn't do anyway. But don't do. You know, I've never drank or anything, and I'm diabetic. I got to be careful anyway. But don't do any type of drug. Look your notes over. I mean, it's the one part of my life that I do try to have some type of what's the word? Order. Because generally everything else with me is fly by the pants. I mean, I show up to work and do that, but whatever. That's a job. I mean, I'm blessed to have it, but you know, that's not what I want. But I show up and do it because it's what I got.
Yes.
But this comedy, don't play with comedy. You get up, you have fun. I ain't saying don't have fun, but when it's time to do your job, don't fuck around. Excuse my language.
Yeah. You can have fun, you know, but have it from a very prepared, serious to make people entertain point of view.
Exactly. Have you and try not to get caught up in these games. And what I mean is comics, these young comics who play. I've experienced this. I almost, well, I ain't gonna say it, but I almost wanted to put some. I'll shut up about that. But they play too many games sometimes. These younger comics, and they would put like they would tease me and some other comics. It's, they would do the ageism, and I don't. Now that I'm up there a little bit, I'm just like, look, I prefer to hang with this style. Like you're liable to see me hanging out with you than most of these. I mean, I'll hang out, but you know what I'm saying. Me and you
I
gonna
do.
hang out more, and we'll talk. And I'd rather sip some tea and wait to do the set, and then after I do all that, then we can play. But when I come to
Absolutely.
do a job, I come to do a job.
Yes. And like, we're both, I'm 71. I experience ageism. I'm a little bit Jewish. I experience anti-Semitic remarks. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you experience racist remarks.
Yeah, I have. I started in Kentucky, and it was I used to have people want to fight me out in the parking lot because I always have a slick tongue to back it up. They would call me the N word, and I'm like, that's not what your wife calls me. Little lines like that, and they get a little mad, want to fight, because they ain't the brightest. But it isn't about ageism. It's not about sexism.
Nope.
And you got to look at it like your number that you are now is not like it used to be when when your mom was in her 70s. It felt like it was older. But when mom was in her, it seemed like it was so long ago. But now I'm just like, it's up to the person how they feel. Because now, unfortunately, because we got OnlyFans, I said this the other day. What would you do if you found out your grandmother had an OnlyFans page? It's weird because I've seen older women, and you're like, I know she's not, because it's a difference. They eat healthier. So you see, like Angela Bassett, 65, 66 years old. Ain't too many guys going to say, you know what, she's too old to be. No, it's the mindset. If you work out right, because it's different than what you believe. You go until you fall in the casket, I guess is what I'm saying.
People are so funny with their comments to me. Like the comics and people in the audience are like, are you still doing comedy? And like what? What are you not saying? I mean, at this age?
You can do comedy till you can't walk anymore, whatever. You can still do it. Richard Pryor was doing it in a wheelchair. As long as you have the ability to tell a joke, you don't stop. As long as your health can hold out, you don't stop. It's probably what's keeping you alive.
Thank you.
You don't let anyone tell you to stop.
Have you ever noticed, let's say you have the flu and you go on stage, in those moments where you're hyper focused on the audience and making them laugh, you feel no symptoms.
Right. Jordan with the flu. Classic. Remember the legendary basketball game? He had the flu, come out, score like 60.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so who's your hero in the whole world, in the entire world, living or deceased? Who's your biggest hero out of comedy or in comedy? Biggest hero and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Because I got errors, and I like every comic that's a rebel. That's George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison. Every comic, I know it's easy to say, but the ones who got arrested, the ones I learned from George Carlin, have the balls to say it. Don't be scared of nobody. What they gonna do? Arrest you for words? They still today. What are they doing? Long after the 7 dirty words, now it's not even dirty words anymore. It's just words they're trying to stop you for. I notice how I caught myself from saying the R word, which I used to wouldn't have cared, but I'm doing it to be respectful on your view thing. But I generally don't like. That's why I don't like labels, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, you clean. I talk the way I talk, and I'm not, I focus on being funny. Is it funny? Now, if it happens to be where cussing is a passionate thing and I'm saying something with a point to it, then so be it. I don't care about cussing. That doesn't affect me. 7 words are not going to affect me the way they affect other people. It's just comedy in that sense. If you're that sensitive, then don't come to the show, because that's what we do. You can be the cleanest comic. Bill Cosby was the cleanest comic.
Thank you.
The cleanest comic.
Ever.
About 900 women came out. You know, even though he got freed after 3 years, whatever. However, that's forever tarnished his thing. Meanwhile, Eddie Murphy's a freaking, hopefully nothing bad come out about him. You know, he got 10 kids and he's at home. He's a stay-at-home dad.
There we go.
It depends on what you do and how you, like Sinbad, who hope he's getting better now. You know, he had a stroke. He said I think what messed him up in Hollywood was everybody kept throwing the fact that he was clean on. That's all people, even when I look at the comments, yeah, he didn't have to cuss to tell comedy. It wasn't about, are you funny? That's it. You're so worried about words. They're just words. There's a zillion words in the English language and any other language, and you're worried about these words. And it bothers me. So, I mean, if George Carlin hadn't done the 7 dirty words, I think I would have tried to attempt to write that, because it's irritating that you allow language to have that much of a oppression over you. I can't let it.
Yes, absolutely. Did you know that I interviewed Sinbad right before his stroke?
Oh, no.
Yeah. He
That
had a stroke and a brain bleed and a blood clot. I mean, he's trying to make a comeback now.
I know. It's rough, because it's so he's instantly, those things made him look old. Because he always been, no matter how old he got, he always had the bright red hair, and now it's ash in his skin, and you know, it's put when some, that's what you got to take care of your health. Drink tea, eat the soups, you know, do whatever you can to keep it healthy, you know.
Yes.
I'm trying to get off of this insulin because my mom passed from diabetes and my grandmother passed from it. I've never been sick of it, and they said I inherited that. Black people don't inherit, we don't inherit money, we inherit diabetes. I don't understand. I don't like that. That's so weird, you know.
Yes, absolutely. So what would you like to say to younger comedians coming up behind you?
Work on your stuff. Don't let nobody tell you anything. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. If you believe in yourself, believe in yourself. I've had people try to tell me all the time, well, you too old for this, and you this, and I get an example. I feel sometimes there's people that got their little groups like they had when we was in high school, little cliques. I don't roll with them. But I've been blessed to do certain shows. Coming up now, I'm on Sketchfest for the 4th year in a row coming up in January or February. That's coming up. I'm gonna be on that. And I just did Comedy Day for the 3rd year in a row. I'm certain people that like me and certain people that they have drama. Everyone has their little, I don't understand, because I've been trying to get past the clubs for years. I think I'm gonna give up on that because I've never done anything. I've never burned a bridge, but people have their little cliques, and I don't do cliques. I do, like I said, you're liable to see me hanging with you, and then I'll hang with somebody who like some of my friends that I hang with, but we're all the same age, or around the same age. Nina G, Erie Diamond, everybody who we're all within that parameter. You know, you're gonna see me hang with people. You know, I might see a comic from when I was a teenager that I remember, like I see Kerry Snow. You know, comics like that. I am not gonna hang with somebody who's some young kid telling me. I'll hang a little bit, maybe one day and all that, but I start to feel a little bit as I get older. I'm like, unless they got a sensitive thing, we talking comedy, then we can go from there and see what's going on. You know,
come to Vegas on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, because when John Caparulo's in town, he does a special guest set for like 10 or 15 minutes.
I got a friend of mine out in Vegas, Ty Rivera.
Yes, Ty.
I've known Ty since the open mic days. Ty Rivera, another friend of mine I work with out there, Tanya Lee Davis.
Yes.
Tanya Lee's know me. We all started at an open mic here in LA. They moved. They keep telling me to come out there, but I don't know. I've heard that it's hard to get spots out there.
I don't know. Funny is funny.
I mean, you know, I want to come do shows and do shows, but I want to do the 30 at 12:30 and all these shows, but I don't know. I'm thinking about it because I've been here for 11 years in San Francisco and then 8 in LA. So maybe it's time to move. I got to find a place out there and, you know.
Yeah, my rent's really cheap. You can see it's just cinder block.
Hey.
But it's only
it works. I'm living in a room. Look at it. With a bathroom.
This is only $700 a month.
Mine's is $520, but this is the old hotel. There's an interesting history to this hotel. When AIDS first hit and nobody wanted to take on the AIDS patients and put them in, this is the place, they refurbished it since then, but this used to be the place that would take only AIDS victims.
Wow.
I used to do comedy at a church for 7 years, St. John's Episcopal, and they were the only church that would take, as long as you cremated the bodies, and they would bury the remains of AIDS victims in their backyard. Because nobody back in the 80s, you know how that was, there was such a stigma to it. Like the stigma today of monkeypox. Well, monkeypox breaks that stigma. COVID, you know. Yeah. I'm going to say this to everybody, because it's always some animal that's the reason we got there was AIDS, they were saying it was the monkeys. Now they're saying it's the monkeys again with the monkeypox. Leave the monkeys alone. I mean, they're cute and adorable and all that, but you see people online putting clothes on the monkey and they're hugging them and kissing them. Leave the monkeys alone. You know, it's monkeypox. It ain't chimpanzee pox. It ain't gorilla pox. It ain't orangutan, because they'll kill you. It's monkeys, because monkeys are little. You know, they're adorable. Who you could take a little monkey with a tail and hug him, and he hugging all on you and this, that, and the other. That's cute. But leave them monkeys alone. And stop hanging around places where bats be. Bats are eating fruit and then caught. And they showed this one, it was in Japan. I'm not saying the Asians are the cause of with COVID. They showed a bat and the pigs and the stuff falling in the pig pen. I ain't no expert, but if I hear a pig going, keep him away. And you still ain't gonna cook him and all that. That hurt just to do the imitation. So just imagine, you know, that's crazy. You gotta pick who pick it. So I may come out there to do a show or something, because
John Caparula's here every Tuesday and Wednesday when he's in town. Maybe he'll get you a guest spot on the mic, and then they can see that you're worth putting on a real show.
That would be good. But John Caparula's real big now. He'll remember me, but he ain't seen me in years. And when they get to that point, I don't try to ask any favors. I know people like, why? People don't understand. That's another thing. But people who do not know the business, like we know the business, when they say stuff like, hey, why don't you just go ask so-and-so to give you a spot? If it were that easy, don't you think I would have did it? You know, like somebody said, why don't you just go, who was in town? It was somebody, go ask Chappelle to go up. Yeah, why don't I go ask to be Speaker of the House too? You know, let's be realistic. Unless you're friends with these people, even if you know them a little bit, that don't mean, I'm liable, we have to earn our dues. That's I don't want to, I've done a lot of dues paying, but that don't mean nothing in the big grand scheme of things. I may never be known. I just want to live off of it.
Absolutely.
I'd rather hang out at your place and chill and go do some shows.
There we go. Well, come on over. Let's do this. Let's go do some shows. We'll get on some shows.
I have to rent a room out there. Yeah, my friend Tanya Lee's out there. She'll give me spots, because she gave me spots here.
Very good. Okay, so what do you have in closing to tell people who are not comedians, audience people? Maybe they're thinking of being comedians. Maybe they don't know what to do when they go to a comedy show, what to look for. What do you have to say?
Okay, if you want to be a comedian, stop telling us who our comedians I'm thinking about doing. Either what they say, piss or get off the pot. Either do it or don't, but stop telling us. Go do it. Find out if it's for you. Work on some jokes, see if you have anything. And then if you bomb, keep going up. If it's meant for you, you'll know. Um, what what else did you ask on the question?
And like, what would you say to audience members? Like, they go to a comedy show and they come away frustrated, or they don't know who their favorite comedian is. They just go to.
Well, that's what you have to decide. You have to decide who's your favorite comedian. We don't heckle us. Don't heckle. I know we live in a different time where people are getting brave. Don't walk on the stage. Because now a lot of these comics are from different backgrounds. It's not like when I came up, a comic came from a home and he just heard about it and wanted to do it. Now a lot of these comics used to be gang members, and they will stalk you. They'll go back in their old ways. Come up a day away from doing criminal records. So just because they're funny, don't think that they won't put them hands on you, male or female, young or old. Don't. It's a different time. If you're frustrated, don't get frustrated. Just hang out, shut your mouth, and watch. That's the best. Introduce yourself to people, but don't over bombard people like da, 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 da. Don't try to prove you funny. People will see. Just be you, hang out. Somebody got an open mic. Hey, you want to do a little time? Yeah, let's see what you got. They give you a spot, you do it. That's it.
That's great.
You don't jump around, try to kiss nobody butt. That's never a good sign. That's a sign of insecurity. Don't be insecure, young or old. And this is what I'm learning too as you get older. Don't let the younger comics frustrate you coming up behind you, because if you're say you're the age we are and you're starting out, realize you got more life experiences than they do. They find a style and tighten your act. Even if they say you old, it don't matter. They can't stop the funny. I've seen older comics go up and crush, and young comics look stupefied. It doesn't matter as long as you're funny. It doesn't matter as long as you are funny. I'm reading. Oh, this I should show. What is that? This for any comic nerd. This is the book, Don Rickles.
Wow.
New one, it just came out, and it's interesting. People didn't. People how they felt about Don Rickles' style. Do not let age stop you. Do what you love. And if a woman if a woman is talking stuff about you because you're older, take her man from her. Make her, because you still got one advantage. Just have fun. Just have fun, and don't take yourself too serious. Sometimes I'm accused of that, taking myself, because I sit at home and I'll sit here with my dog and my cat on me, and I'll write jokes, and I'll just write, and they'll be like, man, you too serious about it. Come on, do this. And sometimes a lot of things will irritate me. Like I got a friend of mine, he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go up the head, and I'm this and that. He's got all these great ideas, but you got to execute one of them. Stop saying it and do it. Work on your act first is what I tell them. And I know what my lack is the business, because I've come to find out, yes, you can do well doing business and doing comedy. I don't do business so well. I'm an artist, but you got to do the business. I had somebody help you with the business part so you can get out there, because I've noticed if you're good at business, you're terrible at comedy, or you're not so good at comedy. If you're great at comedy, you're not so great at business. You always hear them sad stories. They got robbed here, but when they get on the stage, they're a beast. I know you got to have both as show business, and I understand that, but sometimes it's hard for me because I just love to sit here and soak up all this. I'm like the guy would be in the Harry Potter realm in the library with the book stacked to the ceiling, studying every book. Like here in San Francisco, the second, outside of, for some reason, Berlin, the second most packed thing on comedy is the downtown library here in San Francisco. Wow. I've seen books from the 1600s on comedy. And I don't know why Berlin, Germany has the biggest history of comedy, because ain't nothing been funny about Berlin that I can think of. You know, I ain't
Jeez.
never heard of no. I know they got comics that come out of Russia. I ain't never heard of it might have a German comic that's a killer, but not in the way I'm thinking. You know, I don't know. I
Oh
don't
my
know,
gosh. Who,
but
President Zelensky, I want to hear him tell some jokes.
yeah, he used to be that would be interesting. That would be he probably was big when he was on there because I mean we had a what was the senator from SNL? He
What
was from
was the
SNL.
what?
He was from SNL. He became a senator. He got kicked out for he wrote a bunch of books, wore glasses. He used to write for Saturday Night Live. He was a character. Al Franken. Al Franken.
Oh, Al Franken.
Yeah, like Al Franken, you know. So we when you decide that's the thing, when you decide to go for serious, like Eddie Izzard is talking about running for politics, know your lane. Stick in your lane. I know Eddie for them specials. I don't want to see a comic. I mean, you have a right, but I don't. God gave you a gift to make people laugh. Do that. Don't.
Yeah.
That's the problem when a comic takes themselves too serious. When I was a teenager, I loved Dennis Miller. He didn't cross the line. He was right in the middle. Now he got paid, got some money, and he done turned into Darth Vader. You know, he's on the dark side. I can't, because he can still be funny to this day if he'd have just stayed in the middle and eased up on his ego. George Carlin said he's a funny guy, but he's got an ego. He's too, yes, you're intelligent. What do you do? Every comic is intelligent in one way or another. But when you're too intelligent and smug about it, it bothers people. You can't be smug.
Yes, and pride comes right before the fall.
Exactly. Exactly.
I see too much pride. It's one thing to be self-assured. It's another thing to be arrogant.
Yeah. And like that intro I gave, I was just being silly, but I know none of that's true, but it's just for goofs, you know, because I'm known as one of the best dressed comics. I try to dress well, I'm known for having the nice clothes and I'm groomed up and the beard is manicured and this, that, and the other. But all that don't mean nothing if you bomb, because you can be the best dressed and still bomb. I've seen comics in the old days. Remember comics when we was coming up that were in tuxedos, the Bob Hopes and all them. And if your joke doesn't work, it was just different.
I think that everybody can actually get funny if they don't give up. I've seen some real, for lack of a better word, I've seen some real schmucky comics get up there, and then a couple years later, it's like, dang, they're funny.
Exactly. If they work for it and don't steal jokes, and if they work and willing to go through the suffering and the pain, there's times I went up and did an all-black fraternity and bombed horribly. Number one, I was in shorts. That shit. But I was ready to take on a whole black fraternity because they were coming at me with such venom, and I was ready to fight a whole black. It was just an emotional.
Wow.
It pains you when you're of that group. It hurts more. Like you said, you're part Jewish. Imagine if you went in front of an all Jewish, because Jewish people are like black people in this sense. They can be mean.
They can be mean. I mean, people talk
about
how
doing? We paid money for this.
People are talking about how they hate Jews. Oh, please, you don't know what I've been through with Jewish people, because I'm only half Jewish.
That's the thing about it. It shouldn't even. We have to put out there these things. Like, a reason I don't talk that much about being black is a ton of us out there. You don't need me. It's obvious what I am when you see me. I just want to make you laugh. Yeah, I talk a little bit about how I grew up. I grew up in Kentucky, and I grew up. Yes, I grew up with black people, but it was mostly country. It was like if I did a sitcom on my life, you wouldn't even, to give you an idea, Roseanne would have been my neighbor.
Wow.
That would have been across the street. That would have been the type of I don't know if that's wild, but you know what I mean. You know, growing up, my family grew up imagine Roseanne, and what's that show that Damon Wayans did, My Wife and Kids? Remember My
Yeah.
Wife and Kids? Well, imagine if you mix My Wife and Kids with the Roseanne show, and like we grew up like that. So it wasn't like we was poor, but we weren't the Cosby Show. But I'm liable to see Darlene before I'm liable to see any, because I remember growing up seeing Hee Haw and the Dukes of Hazzard and that little bit as it was leaving out in all those shows. But
When
that's
my
what that.
when my mom passed away, Zorba, I went and did comedy in the assisted living where she had been living before she died. And
Mm-hmm,
so it was all Jewish people that were in the audience.
mm-hmm.
And I swear that the room we were in, it had a menorah and it had a tabernacle. I think God was in there.
Candelabra and all.
And I was 2 years into comedy and they mandated I do an hour. So, I had people falling asleep and people telling me to get a day job. Yeah.
And you felt like you were listening to your parent. Yeah, it's so weird when they do that. Even if you have an hour, your hour's not gonna. There's no way you can twist it to a room full of elderly people. You just have to. You son of a bitch. You call this funny? I know funny. Where's Jackie Mason? Where's Jackie Mason? Yeah, they want Jackie Mason. He's not funny, you son of a bitch. What the hell is this? She's not funny. Give me Ethel Merman. They looking for comics. Hey, she's worse than Joan Rivers.
Well, there was this little old lady that was in the audience and she came up to me. I know I got a lot of nerve calling somebody else an old lady, but this little old lady, she was 92. She was carrying a iPad like this, and she was coming up to me all wobbly, and she says, "This is my husband," and she had a video, and so she pushed the button and it played her husband on Johnny Carson saying goodbye to Johnny after 15 years working in the lighting department, and he was going to come to that place in Oregon. And he was in his room that day. And the next month, when I went there to do another hour of different comedy, because I had burnt an hour, now my next Netflix special that never made it is up. And he comes to see me do comedy. He's seen everybody in the world do comedy. And now he has to put up with me year 2 in comedy. He came up to me afterward and he said that he's seen every comedian and I've got what it takes. Wasn't that sweet?
That's sweet. That's sweet when they tell you that.
Yeah.
You remind, yeah. So
But
you
he
take it, but once
was
again,
at the lighting department, so
yeah, but once again, take it with a grain of salt because everybody's got an opinion on how you should do you. You
that's
do
right.
you. No, they ain't up there on stage. They talking crap from seats. They ain't got the courage to do what we do.
That's it.
That's what Deontay Wilder said about boxing. And he said when they call a boxer a bum, well, why don't you get your bum ass up in the ring? You ain't. Boxers are brave because there was one boxer just recently. I think he got brain damage because you risking it every time you step in the ring with these guys. They trying to beat the snot out. Girls too, the women. Which I'll be honest, I don't like to see that, but hey, because it's so weird because I never thought I'd see a sport where women would tell you their real weight. They tell you their real weight, and then you don't want two angry women. That's worse than watching the guys when they get mad. Two angry women. Well, what's up, bitch? I'm pretty because I'm prettier than you anyway. What's up then? I'll mess your face up. It ain't, guys, it's just a whole different. And then when you see two women that really going at it, I'm thinking that's not about the title. It's about a man. They going at it like they swinging. Ooh, who made her that mad?
There's one reason I won't fight. I won't get in the ring. It's because of cottage cheese thighs. I'm not going to pick, no matter what they pay me, I'm not showing them.
It doesn't. We live in a different era, though. You got to remember, everybody's Somebody did a great bit. This guy, I don't know if he was a comedian or he was just talking. He said, women always complain about their looks. He said, do you realize no matter what you look like, there's a specialty for you? You could be a short, amputated, big booty hoe, and somebody's going to want to sleep. There'll be a man out there that will have sex with you. You can be ugly on uglybitch.com, and there will be a man out there to have sex with you. You could be somebody's grandmother, great grandmother. There's still a man out there who will sleep with you and fall asleep like he took NyQuil. That's the thing. Women, it doesn't matter. As long as you have, let's say you halfway decent looking. Like Martha Stewart is a freak of nature. She's the freak of nature. Let's just call it what it is. And you still look decent. A couple wrinkles ain't gonna stop a man. You'll probably still get, at your age, there are still dudes in their late 40s and 50s who'll give you a try. You'll be like, oh no. You might say no, but they offered you. Now, you can't say, oh, no man likes me. If a man offers you sex, it's up to you to decide. You might go, no, I'm old enough to be my grandson. Who says we was trying to be together? I'm trying to have a fun time. I'm just trying, because when this is the way life is. When it comes to the end of your life, how do you want your autobiography to read? Do you want them to read, he was a wonderful person and this? That's going to be fine. Do you want them to read the freaky tales? She had it on with 3 dudes in one night at 75. That's what gave her a heart attack. But she was wild. I'd rather be in that line. If somebody goes, because it don't matter when you're gone.
Die in the saddle.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when you're gone. Just have fun while you're on earth above ground. Have all the fun you can. If you can hit on a young dude and he give you a chance, keep it to yourself and have your fun. Don't tell your kid you got kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let your daughter out of it. Don't let your daughter find out. She's gonna be like, Mom. But if you wanted to tell somebody, like, you look over at your girlfriend and wink. Yeah, boy. That boy. I'd rather be used for that than to not be used at all, Life is short. You live while you're here. Don't worry about what the rest of people, because people are dying left and right. Comedians are dying like crazy this year. Who was it? Bob Saget, Louis Anderson. I just saw his documentary, Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, comics are dying left and right. People we grew up with, rappers are dying left and right. Young rappers, they're not even making it out of their 20s. That's crazy. Now, the ones I grew up with, yeah, they dying too, but they at least get to 60, 65, maybe 70. But the ones that young, they getting shot and all that's got to stop.
Absolutely.
That's why you live life while you can. Don't worry about what people have to say. If you want to go out and get you a Tom Cruise, you get you a Tom Cruise and have fun.
My luck, if I ever got a young guy in the sack, he'd die of a heart attack because I'd wear him out. And then everybody be hating me and I'd get blackballed.
Nobody would be hating you. Nobody would be hating you. They'd be like, damn, she put it on you like that? There's no such thing as, I'm not going to say it, Richard Pryor said it in his special, there's no such thing as bad sex. You live, you have fun, you go on about your life. I don't know how we got on the subject.
I'll tell you one story. There was this very famous comedian, and he came to Portland, Oregon, to Harvey's, where I was volunteering and doing a bunch of stuff. And so he was interested in this girl that I used to do a podcast with. And so the whole club made the whole evening so that it would be orchestrated for him to eventually wind up with her. There was drinking, there was Coke, there was partying, there was everything he wanted. And she was going to be the prize, but unfortunately, she turned him down. So unfortunately, he comes up to me when he gets turned down by her and wants me to be second best.
Don't be nobody's second best.
I ain't taking sloppy seconds. Nope, not doing it. I told him, you don't want me. And he goes, why? And I go, because I would wear you out.
I like how you said it with an evil little grin. I like that. You don't want to be in bed with a coach
sloppy seconds. He done it. How do you expect me to want to be with you when you insult me?
Exactly. Be happy, but enjoy life. And but yeah, back to comedy. That's basically what we do. Try to enjoy life and stay away from crazies like cocaine sloppy second boy.
You would know who it is if I told you his name, but mum's
Maybe
the
just
word.
text it to me later. Inbox it to me.
I'll see you later. Thanks for coming on so very,
Sure,
very, very much.
anytime.
Zorba, Jevon Hughes. And go catch
Have a
his
good one,
comedy.
dear.
Where can they support you online?
Online, I'm always putting up jokes. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is Zorba _ Jevon ZORBA _ JEVON. And I'm always putting up shows I do. And I'm always putting up I'm supposed to be December 4th at the Punchline in Sacramento, but that's kind of shaky right now. But I'll put it up if it goes through. So we'll see what happens. Beginning of the new year, I'll be in Sketchfest. You know, because Christmas this month is hard to book anything coming up in December because it's Christmas time and holidays, and it's kind of hard. Nobody want to come out and they got to be with their family to see some guy tell jokes.
Yeah, and Hollywood is run by the Jews.
Well, you said that, I didn't. I don't want to get in trouble. Black people can't say none of that shit without somebody. No, I ain't getting in trouble. I don't want my career to end before it gets started. You know, she's Jewish. She said it. I didn't say it. I'm just trying to, you know.
It's been so fun to be with you. So thank you so much for coming on. You guys follow him on social media, find out where he's going to be performing, and go support his comedy. Thank you so much, Zorba.
Have a good one. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.